Hey there, this is David Rivas, and we're going to be talking about gamification as a current trend in education. So first, let's start with the basic question. What is gamification? Basically, it's integrating game-based mechanics, aesthetics, and game thinking to non-game situations. Basically, applying game principles to non-gaming situations. This does beg the question, why? What does this have to do with education in the first place? Well, let me challenge you to pose this question to your students. Ask them, who is this guy with the forehead, this guy with the smolder, and this young, scrappy-looking gentleman? And see what they say. Chances are they may not be able to tell you that this is William Shakespeare, Winston Churchill, and Alexander Hamilton. But ask them who these guys are. They will quickly let you know that this is Luigi, Yoshi, and Mario. But why is that? Well, researchers have noted that by the time kids are 21, they've played 10,000 hours of video games, which is the same amount of time they've spent in school. So why not apply these principles of something they enjoy, something they do willingly and for fun, to an educational setting? So other researchers have noted that we are living in an era in which learners grow up as digital natives and have different learning styles and new attitudes to the learning process. So these new attitudes require a new approach to teaching. So that's what we're going to look at. And let's think about these game design elements that are on the left, and then the motivations on the right. As educators, don't we want to motivate students to grow in their intellectual curiosity? Don't we want to celebrate their achievements? Don't we want their social recognition and social exchange to occur? In other words, don't we want them to be collaborating and communicating with one another? Don't we want to stimulate them cognitively and encourage them to be self-determined? All of these are motivations that are connected to gaming. And so that's what we want to instill in the students. So let's look at the pros, the benefits of using gamification or game theory in education. It creates a better learning experience to start. It allows for instant feedback. In video games, users know how they're doing at any given moment. In education, shouldn't we let the students know how they're progressing? It creates a better learning environment as well, not just because they're having fun, but because it's something that's familiar to them. It's a step towards personalization and individualization. An essential feature of most video games is this idea of badging, which allows for personalization as well, and proficiency. In the common video game, users get a badge for certain achievements. In education, we can assign badges, whether digital or physical, to recognize achievements in proficiency, and even the attempts towards proficiency can be rewarded. The minimum viable product that a student turns in can be rewarded with a badge. And this is research-based. We can look at how higher education is approaching this idea of badging, as well as the business sector, as workplaces begin to assign badges for achievements. Finally, let's look at some cons. These cons come especially when used excessively or when used wrongly. A mandatory rather than an intrinsic motivation for students can have the opposite effect, where it's just another assignment. So we need to be careful with that. We should also be careful not to reward mastery, but rather reward the effort, because students should see failure as an opportunity to learn. Let's make a quick note about personalized learning and how gamification encourages it. Education and learning is not a one-size-fits-all business. As high school dropout turned Harvard faculty member Todd Rose shows us in his TED Talk we've seen previously, Rose argues that rather than designing fighter plane cockpits to fit average human beings, they can be more efficiently designed to the edges of average. And ultimately, gamification takes that same principle as it personalizes learning for students. Thanks for listening.